Come see us on tour in Dallas, Austin, Baltimore, Hartford, Connecticut, Syracuse, New York, Atlantic City, Levittown, Cohoes, and Providence, Rhode Island. Go to jimmydore.com for the link for the cheapest tickets. I got to ask you this because this is, I think this is going to be the Achilles heel of his administration is Israel policy. So he said this just yesterday. Let me play it for you.
Said that process would take 10 to 15 years. Does your commitment to rebuilding Gaza extend beyond your time in office?
I'm committed to buying and owning Gaza. As far as us rebuilding it, we may give it to other states in the Middle East to build sections of it. Other people may do it through our auspices. But we're committed to owning it, taking it, and making sure that Hamas doesn't move back. There's nothing to move back into. The place is a demolition.
So there's nobody to buy it from, A, and B, that's not America first. Here's what he said after he got off the plane.
As far as I'm concerned, if all of the hostages aren't returned by Saturday at 12 o'clock, I think it's an appropriate time. I would say cancel it and all bets are off and let hell break out. I'd say they ought to be returned by 12 o'clock on Saturday, and if they're not returned, all of them, not in drips and drabs, not 2 and 1 and 3 and 4 and 2. Saturday at 12 o'clock, and after that, I would say all hell is going to break out. And I don't think they're going to do it. I think a lot of them are dead. I think a lot of the hostages are dead. I think it's a great human tragedy.
So that's Trump ending the ceasefire deal. They have a deal, and Israel fails to meet every single part of the ceasefire deal. Trump says if Hamas doesn't meet their end of the deal, all hell will break loose by 12 p.m. Saturday. They have met their end of the deal, and that's even according to the Israeli government. The intention is to create the impossible situation within which Palestinians can only die or be ethnically cleansed. So just to back up what I said, Israel's mass circulation newspaper, the Israeli army and security establishment, confirmed that so far Hamas has not violated the ceasefire deal. And so the deal was that they were going to do that. They were going to release 4 hostages, 3 that was the whole deal. Trump is now blowing that deal up, and he's breaking the ceasefire. What do you? First of all, that I haven't really found anybody who's serious who thinks his plan about taking over Gaza, rebuilding it, and kicking out the Palestinians is going to work. There's just as many Hamas fighters today as there was on October 7th, and Israel is the one who breaks every one of the ceasefire deals. So what do you say? What do you see as do you think his plan is going to work? Do you think it's thought out? It doesn't seem thought out. And what do you think will be the solution? My solution is that Trump gets tough with Netanyahu, says, "Hey, you better start being a good neighbor to the people in the Middle East, and we're going to withdraw all our funding, and you're on your own. Because if we left them, that country would collapse." So he's got all the hand, he's got all the power. He doesn't seem to want to use it in this situation. I'll throw it to you. What do you say?
I say that. I think that particularly when we look at counter arguments to that, we get too focused on Israel. The issue to me is the combination of different states there in radical Islamic jihad. And I've always said, and I've said this for years, I'm on the record saying it, Turkey's the biggest threat to the region, and Qatar is the financier of the Muslim Brotherhood. Qatar is the financier, one of the financiers of Turkey. And you're seeing Erdogan and the Turks now with the collapse of Syria. You're seeing they want to reimpose the Ottoman Empire, the Caliphate. They're going to go to try to control the 2 holy sites. And whether Israel's there or not, it's going to start a kinetic part of a 3rd World War. And I think we have to be very smart at how we play. I believe in what President Trump's, I think, saying is that, because it's outside the box, is saying, hey, look, I'm tired of just doing this tick for tack. I want to look at something totally different, which is, hey, we're gonna redevelop this, and we're gonna do it in a big way and make it a world city or whatever. Do I think it's thought through? Not totally. Do I think he has a lot of support in this? Not a lot. But he's got guys like Witkoff and others, and Jared, I think, have thought through part of this with him. All I know about Trump is that he changes the conversation. What we're doing there and what we're doing in Gaza is not working. Maybe we try something else. And this point about the ceasefire. The Muslim Brotherhood are rearming and refinancing the entire time. Now, I believe right before we came on here, I think they said the 12 noon thing is off, that they've agreed, that Hamas and Israel, I think, have agreed to go back to the 3 or 4 hostages and not have a high noon, tripwire.
I mean, that was the deal that
when President Trump said it, I said we better be ready to get engaged there, because that's going to light the place up. And I think it's a very dangerous place to light up.
So if he sends American troops, I mean, the only way
No, impossible. No,
that's
impossible.
That's not going to happen.
No, there will not be American troops. I don't believe that President Trump, he's getting a lot of pressure for this. I don't believe President Trump even supports a military, any type of military support for either an air attack into Persia or any type of ground attack into Persia by the Israelis. I think Netanyahu came over to talk about that. I think that's one of the reasons President Trump started talking about Gaza, kind of changed the conversation. I think the conversation Netanyahu wanted and was going to spend the time on is actually their movement of either taking out wherever this nuclear facility is, or the potential nuclear facility, either through an airstrike where they would need American air logistics support, or something on support on the ground, which I do oppose. I don't think we should get involved in that. And I don't think the Israelis should do it. It would light off the region into a broader conflict. I also don't agree that Israel's been a terrible neighbor. I mean, they've been under siege. They've been under siege by the Persians to the north, through Hezbollah. They've been besieged by the Muslim Brotherhood. And these are not good guys. And if people in the United States think they're good guys, you're fooling yourself. You're fooling yourself. The Muslim Brotherhood's here. Agents of these other countries are here. They've bought off a lot of, they spread a lot of money around. They're not good people. They're not good guys. They don't have the best interest of the United States in mind. And they got to be, to me, they got to be thrown out of the country, and their money's got to get out of this country.
I mean, every war we've been in the Middle East, Iraq, Libya, Syria, it's all in part or wholly because of Israel. So I just think that,
Well, hold it. Hang on. I was, as a young naval officer in my 20s, I was on a destroyer in the North Arabian Sea in the Persian Gulf in, I think, 1979, when the Persians took our hostages. That wasn't driven specifically by Israel. That was driven by a takeover of, Islamic State coming. Now, they hated Israel. But I think to blame it on Israel is they hate the Judeo-Christian West. They hate us. Is Israel there? And do they have a lot of problems with Israel? And has Israel sometimes not been the best neighbor to these people? Maybe, but that's not the issue. The issue is the Judeo-Christian West. They hate us. We're the great Satan. This comes from, I'm over there in 79, and my daughter's over there in 2010 with the 101st. That's a long swath that we've been there. And I agree. The war in Iraq was a disaster. The war in Afghanistan was a disaster. And I'm a huge believer of, that's why the hemispheric defense of here is so important. You get the hemispheric defense, then we can pick and choose. Then if we want to, and I think we have to defend Taiwan against the CCP because of the chips. You can pick and choose. I think, and I'm a big supporter of being an ally of Israel, but I don't want to get drawn into any more Middle Eastern wars because of this. And I think Trump's the guy that can keep us out. Remember, he's the last guy anybody wants to get in a shooting war with. We had no war in Ukraine. We had no war in the Middle East. Now we've got, President Trump said today, we have 1.5 million casualties in Ukraine. 1 million dead Ukrainians or wounded Ukrainians, 500 to 700,000 dead or wounded Russians, a place that looks like Dresden in 1945. The same in Israel. That would have never happened. Gaza looks like Dresden. It would have never happened if Trump was there. So if it never happened on Trump's watch, I have a lot of faith that this guy's the kind of guy who can bang some heads and make something happen. And every now and again, he's going to throw you a curveball like, hey, we're going to turn Gaza into beachfront property. And, it's just like, hey, let the guy roll. Let's see what happens.
All right. Well, that the hostage taking in Iran was as a result of us overthrowing Mossadegh in 1953, installing a puppet who was an oppressive leader, and that's called blowback. And so that was the blow. And we didn't go to war with Iran. We went to war with Iraq, Libya, Syria, Afghanistan for 20 years, and it was all big money funneling operation.
I agree.
Okay,
it's a disgrace. I agree with that 100%. So we got to get out.
Okay,
but we can't. I'm a strong believer we can't abandon Israel. I know and I'll tell people, I tell the Israelis this, I said, look, there's a rising tide of some of the smartest people in our movement. Tucker Carlson, Kurt Mills, others. I mean, really smart, dedicated people that are, saying, hey, we got too much involvement there. We're too close to the Israelis. We have to look a different way. And I keep telling people the old fallback position that traditional Catholics or evangelical Christians are going to have, and this is why I think they've got Huckabee as the ambassador, that old fallback position, I don't think exists anymore. And I think Israel's got to do a much better job of presenting its case to the American people.
Steve Bannon, host of the War Room. I really appreciate you making time for us today. Thanks. It's been great. I'd love to have you back whenever you're available.
I'm a big fan of the show and your comedy. So anytime you want to, Jimmy, I'm honored to be on here. So you just let me know when.
Okay. You're a wealth of information. I could talk to you all day. Steve Bannon, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for coming on.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
Okay. Come see us on tour in Dallas, Austin, Baltimore, Hartford, Connecticut, Syracuse, New York, Atlantic City, Levittown, Cohost, and Providence, Rhode Island. Go to jimmydore.com for the link for the cheapest tickets.